All right, guys, today we're going to cover a mini lesson over denotation and connotation. This is going to be over words and phrases. We've seen these two words used throughout the homework that you've been given over the course of the semester, and now we're going to take an in-depth look as to what it is and how you determine the connotative and denotative meaning of words. And that leads us to our key learning. We're going to learn about connotation and denotation. And our essential question is, how do I determine the connotation and denotation of words, which is our concept, connotative and denotative meaning. I'm going to slow down and we're going to go through this so that you understand how to distinguish between the connotative and the denotative meaning of words, because it's important that you could do the two. So that is our focus. So as an activator, this is going to be what we call our sponge. I want you to take out a sheet of notebook paper, and I want you to write the meaning of these words. You have home, house, residence, and dwelling. Give you a couple of minutes. Go ahead and write down the meaning of these words, and then we're going to discuss them. So what does this mean? The words home, house, residence, and dwelling all have the same basic definition, but the meaning of each word is very different. That's what we're going to actually start talking about, our connotative and denotative meaning. That there could be several words that have the same basic definition. The base of that word is the same, but what the word means and how it's used can be very different. So we're going to talk about the definition of home, house, residence, and dwelling. So basically, they all have the same base definition. They're basically where a person lives at any given time. So if I were to say, oh, I'm going home, or I'm going to my house, or I'm going to my residence, or I'm going to my dwelling place, they all means where I live at that moment. That's the base definition of those words. So again, we're talking about the base definition. They all have that same base definition, where a person lives. But even though they have the same denotation, denotation is basically short for dictionary definition, they all have different meanings or connotations. So this lets you know what denotation and connotation are. Your denotation is your dictionary definition, and your connotations are the figurative meanings of words, so your figurative definition. So connotation, we have home. Home can be cozy, loving, comfortable. When you think about your home, that's what you think about. Home, loving, comfortable. A house, you think about something like an actual structural building, like something that has been built. Residence has cold, it seems cold, has no real feeling, like, okay, that may be where somebody stays, but there's no emotion behind that word. And then dwelling, you think of something that's like primitive, thinking about like a dwelling place, going back to like the caveman days. They lived in dwellings, or it can be your basic surroundings. That's the connotations of those words. Connotations, we're going to talk about the figurative meaning. Connotation is also like the emotion that you feel from hearing words. And connotations can either be positive, negative, or neutral. And we will get to that later. So denotation. The denotation is the strict dictionary definition of a word. It is the literal meaning of the word. So anytime you see D, D is for dictionary. It's the dictionary definition. It's what that word, what the word literally means. That is your denotation. Connotation, on the other hand, is the emotional, cultural, and imaginative meaning or association surrounding a word. And like I said before, you have a connotation of a word can either be positive or negative, but connotations can also be neutral. And we will talk about that later. So again, connotation is the emotional, cultural, or imaginative meaning or association surrounding words. So how you feel when you hear a word, that emotion that is evoked from hearing a word, that is your connotation. And again, here it says that it can be positive or negative. So think about C. C equals colorful or connection. So let's go over some examples. If something doesn't cost a lot, we can call it either cheap or inexpensive. All right, so if we think about what the denotation of this is, Again, something that doesn't cost a lot, cheap or inexpensive. So this is the denotation of the words inexpensive and cheap. So when we talk about that, now let's talk about the connotation. Which word has a positive connotation and why? Inexpensive has a positive connotation because when you think of something that is inexpensive, that's something that doesn't cost a lot. That evokes feelings of being economically friendly or fiscally friendly, versus cheap has a negative connotation, which means somebody that doesn't like to spend a lot of money, regardless of how much they have. So I would say inexpensive, positive connotation, cheap, negative connotation. All right, so when we put something into something else, we can call it either investing or gambling. So this is the denotation of the words gambling or investing, is when you put something into something else. That's the denotation for the words gambling and investing. So again, we're talking about positive and negative connotations. Positive connotation would be investing, because that means you're saving up money for your future, or you're saving up money to be able to get a better return. Versus gambling, you're putting something into something else. But what gambling has, the reason it has a negative connotation is because people are being wasteful with their money. So they're using their money to gamble on something, which may get them a positive or a negative return on their investment in essence. So another example, when something has never been there before, we can call it either new or unproven. All right, so this is the denotation of the words new and unproven. All right, so we're talking about positive and negative connotation. It is important that you understand that all words have either a positive, negative, or neutral connotation. If you hear a word and that word does not give you either a negative or positive feeling once you hear it, you can say that that word has a neutral connotation. So the word new would give you a positive connotation. It is something that has not been around, it's up and coming, it's the here and now. Unproven, I would say negative, because okay, if something has not been proven, that's basically what unproven is. That means it can't be substantiated. I don't know, it gives you an iffy feeling, which makes that word have a negative connotation. Okay, so what I want you guys to do now is, with a partner or by yourself, I want you to fill out this chart. Recreate the chart. You're gonna have to come up with, you have lists, have a list, have columns, have rows. So you're gonna recreate this. You're gonna have the word, you're gonna have the denotation, positive connotation, negative connotation. So you're gonna give me the denotation of the word chicken. We know what chicken is. It gives you that chicken. So the denotation is bird or fowl. The positive connotation of chicken would be food. A negative connotation would be afraid. So when we're talking about positive connotation, is food. It's something that you can eat for nourishment. But something that has a positive connotation would be afraid, because if someone calls a person chicken, that means they're scared or afraid of something. So what I want you to do within your group, within your partner, or individually, recreate this chart for me, and I need the denotation of each word listed, as well as a positive connotation, a word that has a positive connotation, and a word that has a negative connotation. And there is a blank that also lets you come up with your own word, where you would give the denotation, a positive connotation, and a negative connotation. Negative and positive connotation could be easy to understand, but we just need to go through it so that you know explicitly what it is, how to use it, how to determine it, and how to decipher it. Have any questions, feel free to come ask me questions. You guys have a great day.